All right, so anybody wants to tell me what you retained from last time before we move forward?
We studied Surah Al-Fat and the meanings of each one. So should I go through the meanings?
Just give me your own impression, like what did you get out of that?
The sixth line, Ihdana Sirat al-Mustaqim, was the one that caught me.
Yeah.
I would not know what you said about the translation. I wouldn't know it before.
Yeah.
Looking at the new angle.
Yeah. Well, this is what had happened historically, so to speaking, right? So because historically speaking, we already made up our mind about certain things for what certain scholars in the first few centuries have said. And so it continued for all those times. And for us, for me personally, there's a great lesson from it to be learned for our own lives, for how much we are prone to such things, and why that thing matters to see with thine own eyes and not with the eyes of other. And that, as I often say, it's often misunderstood sometimes. It does not mean we don't read and study with each other, but from each other. That same Lord has said that the true scholars are the eyes to mankind, stars of my sky, even so much so that if you disrespect a true scholar, you blind yourself and let go of God's grace and mercy, right? So such strong things have been said about them as well. But then the truth has been balanced in a very beautiful way. Not every one of us who can read few books is in that line, right? So not every one of us can speak somewhat is in that line. And in many of in Kitab-e-Gan class and some of the other classes, we actually touched on that balance, on that criteria that Baha'u'llah has set up. Anybody remembers what's the criteria? It's a very simple thing, right? Similar to when Prophet Muhammad said, if you hear something I said or did, measure it with the book of God. And if it's not in the book of God, then I wouldn't have said or done it. It's such a amazingly simple balance. Balance is like when you measure things, right? That balance for the sign of justice, when you put, how many kilograms or pennies are on one side and the goods on one side, and that's how we balance things. And the book of God is called the balance. One of the names of the Quran and the books of God is the balance, the mizan, right? So he said, then measure it with the book of God. And if we don't find any signs in it, not in a sense that you definitely have to have some words from what he said into the Quran, but as a matter of principle, what he's describing or doing should equate to what the book is teaching, right? So if that is not accordingly, then he says, then I wouldn't have said it and wouldn't have done it. So in spite of that, we have thousands upon thousands of things that are contradictory, that are confusing and defiling and changing the world, but we don't come to the books. So that was said by him. What is the in a sense of scholarship, in those scholars that we should follow? Actually, Baha'u'llah says we should follow them. Those that he says are stars of my sky, when you find them, you should follow them. What are those? He has given a very simple balance to measure that too. And in other classes, some of those who are from other classes should know this, but everybody should know this because Baha'u'llah has spoken it. So what criteria, what balance he gave us to measure that? Their own lives and characters, right? Their own lives and characters. Those who follow his word themselves, those are the ones you can trust that are true. And it's such a simplest thing. I mean, even within ourselves, I've often seen that. Okay, so if I look like this, I mean, if I am myself wearing 3 gold rings and whatever, and I tell you, live a very simple life, don't buy jewelry, what would you say to me? Right? So if I am urging other people onto that simplicity, physical, material simplicity, then I should show forth of that myself, right? So if I'm asking you to go serve in villages and I live in a $4 million house somewhere, then you should ask me. Then you should ask me, right? So this is a criteria and balance that can be always judged, no matter which time frame we are living in, where we are at, who we are. Simple stuff, right? So things like that. So anyway, so one should be very, very careful. I was just reading a part of, if I can actually pull it up, Igan, where Baha'u'llah is, and a couple of other pieces where he's saying that follow what God has given you. Only follow what God has given you, right? And if God wanted something else for you, then he would have given that to you. So when you are given what is given, don't say, but somebody else says this other thing. Baha'u'llah says that, quote unquote, and yet every day we actually run after other people's ideas rather than, and why do we run after other people's ideas? The core element is actually that we don't come to the books, right? Any one of those who actually take time to study the books don't have that weakness. So that's what, to my understanding, it means to see with thine own eyes. If you don't delve into the books by yourself, how would you even know the right scholar? Right? And so then we endanger ourselves and we endanger everybody else. We endanger others. So while we are studying that, you'll see this over and over and over again. So often, what God is saying and where society has gone. All of these are our people, by the way. Don't point fingers to them. Don't say them. It's all of us. All of us communities of religious communities or any communities do exactly the same mistakes over and over and over and over again, and don't learn from what had been done. So keep that in mind. All right. So yes, and that's why it's like when Sheikh Ahmad and Sayyid Kazim were teaching, they were teaching the same book that brought thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people in, right? So it was delving back into it and showing it from it itself, that the certain ideas you're holding as mainstream are absolutely opposite of what the book is actually saying, right? And so forth and so on. So yes, all right. Okay, let's move forward. And then, especially in understandings and translations, when we want to fill in the gaps, that becomes dangerous. And we'll see that more here now in this one than ever before, but we already have seen that, right? So the last verse we spoke about, if you pay attention to the actual Arabic, when you say Sirat al-lazina an'amta alayhim, ghayr al-maghdube alayhim, waladdallin, that it says, and none of those who encountered wrath, so to speak, on whom wrath descended. That's it. It's an indirect statement. But in all the translation, you will see on whom thou descended thy wrath, in God, right? So because it was indirect and we wanted to make it simply understandable, must be God, then we added that stuff. And that's, in a sense, it's an amazingly dangerous tahrif, so to speak. I'm sure they did it in absolute sincere minds to make it easier for you. And yet, then that wrath that people descended upon the Jews became the wrath that God descended upon the Jews, right? So from some sheer atrocities, it became the will of God. He wanted to have that way, right? Very dangerous path to take. So be very, very careful about this. All right, that's unless you guys have any questions, concerns, comments on the previous one, let's move on to the next one. Yeah. All right. So one of those household, so to speak, housekeeping event things we have is we actually didn't need that before, but would you please mute your microphones? Last time too, some other noise happens around you, and maybe you're so much in here you don't realizes it, but we can all hear it. So if you're muted, you can turn it on when you want to ask something or say something, but if it's muted, then we don't hear your surrounding noise. All right. Surah number 2, Surah Baqarah, the cow. We did say that a lot of these names were because some of the issues were spoken inside those surahs, and that's how they were named. They didn't come down as named as that. Again, the same formula, Bismillah Rahman Rahim. We spoke extensively on that. And then in the common agreement among Muslims, they actually decided not to count Bismillah as a verse of the surah after the first one. I personally think that's wrong, but that's how the Muslim Ummah decided. So when they number the verses after the first one, in the first one, Bismillah is an integral part of the surah. So number 1 verse starts with Bismillah, but the rest of them, they use the Bismillah and then the surah starts. So you'll see that. So now there is another mystery here that starts right away in the Quran, that is Alif Lam Mim. In the very beginning that you see, it's written as one word, but it's not Alam, it says Alif Lam Mim. It actually, in real sense, it should have been read separately, Alif Lam Mim. Alif is like A in English, those of you who don't know any Arabic at all. Alif is like A in English, Lam is L in English, letter L, and Mim is M in English. These are disconnected letters of the Quran. There are 29 surahs in the Quran that have disconnected letters. Out of 28 letters of the alphabet, there are 14 of them that are used in these formulas, so to speak. So the first one is this, Alif Lam Mim, which is 3 disconnected alphabets used. And then there are, Alif Lam Mim is used a few times in different ones, by the way. And then Alif Lam Ra is another one. And then there is 4 of them, I believe, that start with a single letter. Saad is one of that. It was Qudus who has written 500,000 verses on the Saad of Samad. That is the one, Saad, Surah Saad, right? And then there are surahs that are started with 2 alphabets and 3 alphabets, and so forth and so on. So the smaller number is 1 alphabet, the largest is 5. So as I said, so 29 of them have this. Historically speaking, some Muslims have taken their pen to it, but at large, in general, it was understood that these are mysteries of the Quran and nobody knows what they mean. Right? So nobody knows what they mean. People have made conjecture on certain things, but nonetheless, those are conjectures. I'm not sure why somebody didn't ask Prophet Muhammad to actually explain it, because whenever the prophets were asked a question, they would answer. And that amazes me about our own dispensation as well. There are things that I would like, why didn't you ask this? It's like you ask about all the frivolous things to a manifestation of God when they're here, but you won't ask things that actually are beneficial. And Baha'u'llah actually warned about it too, because the Bab said he had made, one of his laws was that you should not ask questions, because we are really disrespectful sort of creatures. Maybe that's why. But so when Baha'u'llah came, he actually lifted that. And he says, you can ask questions. You're allowed to ask questions. However, don't ask questions that are useful, right? And yet, in all ways, we want to know more of the past than we want to know of the present and the future, right? More we wanted to know how to make gold out of everything than actual useful stuff that humanity needed. So we are into these kind of things, but. So anyway, so for 1400 years, for Muslim community itself, these are mysterious letters. We don't know what they mean. Both Bábí and Baha'u'llah have written on this. So Baha'u'llah has a tablet, Haruf-e-Muqatat, or the tablet, the Surah of Nur, has descriptions of these. And we won't go through them here. You want to do that, we'll have to come to Baha'u'llah's writings to study those. So in a quick lump sum, Baha'u'llah himself mentions them in Kitab-e-Gan as well, and says in their outer sense, they mean and they are related to Prophet Muhammad himself, and then they have deeper meanings, of course. In some sequences, when you gather them up as a Haruf-e-Abjad, then they actually give you the dates of coming of the Bábí and Baha'u'llah, and so forth and so on. So, and many other things. So that mystery majorly has been lifted off from us. But if you want that, we can have, you can study that separately. So then they will, for Muslims, you will go Alif Lam Mim, and then, yeah, we don't know what that means, move on. Next, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابَ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Anybody wants to read the translation?
Nobody wants to do it? I can do.
Sure.
This is the book. In it is guidance, sure, without doubt, to those who fear Allah.
So here, with the very beginning, there is a little bit of a problem. When we say zalik, zalika is that. This is haza. It's not hada al-kitaba, it's zalika al-kitaba. Zalika means that, but it's always translated as this, right? Because we didn't want to have a that book, I guess. So make a note of it, and this will become clear why to me, in my short judgment, why that is used as that. That is the book. That is the book. There is no doubt in it. No doubt is there in it. Yeah. And it's sure guidance to those who fear God. Muttaqin is from taqwa. It actually, in essence, means mindfulness, carefulness. It guides those who are careful. It guides those who are mindful. You notice that in writings, in high scriptures, Quran, all the scriptures of God, over and over and over again, one injunction is given to think about things, to reflect on things, to ponder on things. I think it's the most often used word. And it was something that I used to really invite me to think about why from a very young age, because God will use some of the verses are very simple. He rains, the rain comes down, things grow, fruits grow, and things like that. And there are signs for those who think, right? There's signs in them for those who ponder. I was like, why? Why is God using that last sentence? Because rain comes, things grow. It's very simple matter, right? Very simple matter. Everybody sees that, unless you're blind. Unless you're blind, everybody, doesn't matter what your level of intelligence is, you see that. You see that the rain comes, greenery, fruit, they need water, water comes to them and they grow. Would you please mute yourself? I can hear noise from background. So why then God says that after such simple stuff, things that are mentioned simply, and then he says, there is signs for those in these verses who ponder, who think, who reflect. And that will make you think that there is more into this than just what meets the eye, right? So you'll notice that God has said, we say a thing and we mean 72 meanings by it. Liba, yes?
Which part says those who fear God or Allah?
The muttaqin. Taqwa means the one who fears God. Muttaqi. Taqwa is to fear God. Muttaqi is the one who fears God. It's a plural. So those people, plural, those who fear God, right? So we are talking about the word taqwa and muttaqin, and in essence, it means mindfulness. Those who are careful, those who are mindful. Right? So that's why I was referencing that this is an injunction that is used so often in the scriptures. We are invited to, things are stated and we are invited to think about them. Right? So those who are mindful. Because if you are not mindful, you notice that for us believers, these are, I mean, it turns your soul inside out, the word of God. And yet there are those who see it and see nothing in it, right? The ones who sees nothing in it, whose fault it is? The books or the one who sees nothing in it? Why is it that some people don't see anything in it, right? So those who are careful, those who are mindful, those who fear God, it's guidance for them. Then, and the word used here, la raib, they don't have doubts. It's inner doubt. There are many things for doubt, but this is a specific sort of, there is no inner doubt. I have not, it's been a long time, I have not seen Tablet of Ahmad in Arabic. If anybody has it, I wonder what word Baha'u'llah uses when it says, have no doubt. And be of not those who doubt, right? Somebody was putting this meme on Facebook recently, teach your children to doubt everything. And I quoted that as like, God says, don't doubt. We are teaching opposite stuff that God wants us to have, right? Now, asking question is different than questioning everything. So God allows us to ask questions so we can understand what is happening. But in English word, when you say you're questioning everything, that is you're doubting everything. We literally are forbidden to doubt things. Ask questions to understand them, but don't be suspicious. Our writings say that don't be suspicious. And if you look around why our societies are breaking down, there are 1,000,001 reasons. But in my judgment, one of the main issue is doubting everybody and everyone and not trusting everybody and being suspicious about everything and everyone. As soon as you're suspicious of other people, you cannot be friends with them. You cannot trust them, you cannot be friends with them. And if you cannot be friends with them, they cannot be friends with you. The other person too requires that you trust them. Right. The other person requires that you trust them, and you require them to trust you. And this whole new fad of just bickering about everything and doubting everything is shredding our society for its ethics. So there is no doubt in this book. There is no inner doubts. There is no inner conflict for those who come to the book of God. Then, allazina yu'minuna bil ghaibi. Who are these muttaqins? Now he's giving us so first he's saying that this is the book, in it there is no doubt. So that is the book in which there is no doubt. That is the book. There is no doubt that it is guidance, right? So that's how you would read it. There is no doubt that in it there is guidance for those who fear God. And who are those? So same as we were saying, Baha'u'llah says, those are the true ones, the true scholars are the stars of my sky. Then what is a true scholar? Then we need to know what the qualities of the true scholars are to judge which one is a true scholar. So we talked about that, right? So now God is saying that this is guidance for those who are mindful, who fear God, and who are careful. Who are these? What are their qualities? Their qualities are allazina yu'minuna bil ghaibi. The first quality God gives is the ones who believe in metaphysical. Ghaib is always translated as unseen. Can you actually read it? Because we are doing patch by patch. So hold on, let me read it all. Allazina yu'minuna bil ghaibi wa yuqimus salata wa mimma razaqnahum yunfikun. Anybody wants to read the translation, please? Yes.
Who believe in unseen are steadfast in prayer and spend out of what we have provided for them.
Right. So what is the quality of that? What is the quality of the one who fears God? He first of all, she. Let's tackle that a little bit too. We go through a lot of that she these days, right? So when you come to the Baha'i writings too, the Baha'i scriptures, it's always he. So somebody asked, right? So when God says he does not mean male. It means human being, both of them, male and female. Why? Let's go back to Genesis, that we manipulated so much over thousands of years and destroyed ourselves over, right? So Genesis says God created man. God is saying he created Adam. He created Adam in his image. So I created Adam in my image. Created I him, male and female, quote unquote, right? I created Adam. He created Adam. I created him. Created I him, male and female. So him already is male and female. Called I him Adam. Okay, so when you say Adam, Adam is not In essence, Adam is not male. Adam is humanity. Adam is human being. Adam itself is male and female. We didn't come out of his rib. So that contention goes away, right? The second element from now that we know this, you can see this in all the scriptures, by the way, but somehow we didn't quite grasp it. Baha'u'llah tells us, the Bábí and Bahá'í tell us that the soul, that's what makes me a human being, by the way, right? Not my 2 legs and 2 arms. Kangaroos run on 2 legs too, right? The parrots talk. We can teach them talk, right? Human talk, human words, you can teach them. What makes us human is my soul. I'm special that way. There is a soul inside that has consciousness. That soul is the one that is the breath of God that is in his image, not my body, right? That soul, Baha'u'llah says, has no gender. And here we are, after God has told us this, we are fighting on this issue the worst, right? It hurts you at times to see how we are ripping each other apart after, and the Quran says that. They contended not until after they were given knowledge. It's just amazing, right? Now that the things have been answered and we can actually move forward, we are fighting much worse. So unseen, al-bil-ghaib here is translated as unseen, but to me personally, if they said metaphysical, that would have been a better word to use. But then maybe metaphysical is not as commonly understood word, so whichever. When you look at that, the very first condition is that God is asking that this material life is not it. The first quality of a believer is that a believer believes in a life that is not material, that cannot be known by senses. 5 senses, right? Touch, feel, smell, hear, whatever. Right? When we come to sensory issues, then we are not any different from animals. Animals have all the 5 senses, right? That's our bodily part. That is the lower nature. That is because human beings have a dual nature, so to speak. In a sense, first one in the contingent world, from starting from the bottom, that has this quality. And that's why I think things get really hard for us, because an animal is perfect in itself, Abdullah says. They do exactly what they're made for, what they're called for. We are made as an animal, but asked to do something else. Because of that soul inside, because of that image, that stamp inside of God inside me, I'm asked to let go of my animal side and rise above. So we are actually asked to do opposite of what most animals would do in any situation. So when we keep on doing those wrong things that are considered wrong for us, is what an animal will do in any situation. Being territorial, being angry, being murderous, being, all of that. It's fine for them, but it's not fine for us. And yet, my body is the one that has some of those needs. So the first quality, the first requirement, in a sense, of a believer is the one who believes in a life that is non-sensory, that is non-material, that is metaphysical. That's where God belongs. That's where heaven belongs. That's where hell belongs. That's where all of those things belongs. And that's where love belongs, by the way, right? Love is not something you can scientifically measure in the body. Your own thought is something that is metaphysical. Right? So we think and then we act. So the actions, once we have put into material form, we can measure them. But our thoughts, we can't measure. There is no scientific formula to measure thoughts. You say, I love you very much, but how do you prove it? You feel that inside yourself. When you truly love me, you feel that inside. But I see that through your actions. So actions are the one that show that you love me. And even that love, if it's not translated as how God wants you to love somebody, then it becomes hateful. It becomes burdensome. It actually breaks things down. You would notice that. So we often talk about that too in certain classes, that, we say love, 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 but pay attention to the wordings, pay attention to the new ways of each dispensation, because that word love moves forward, moves higher. It moves towards something else than what we were used to do. Some parts maybe are there, but it's different, right? So, and love from culture to culture is considered different as well for its manifestation. Same things you do in some Asian cultures, when you do in Western cultures, people consider that actually choked and they don't want it. and vice versa and so forth. You do the same things, kind of things there, and they say, oh, you're too cold. You know, how could you be this way? So one needs to be cognizant of where we are at and how that love is implemented, so to speak. But that love is a part of metaphysical. It's not a material thing, so to speak. So the first quality of that is, and with that will come the main core element of metaphysical, which is God has asked us to believe in the life after, right? Life after. There are two parts of this life after, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So they believe in the unseen, they believe in metaphysical. We have a twofold life, two sides of the same coin. One without the other is impossible. Right? So when we became so aligned with the spiritual metaphysical side that we started neglecting the material world, that broke down too. So God has over and over asked us that both things need to be lived together in balance. And where's the balance? Balance is not yours and mine. Balance is his. He teaches me the balance. The book itself is the balance. It's called the balance, the mizan, right? The balance, the judgment, the mizan. The word of God itself is balance. People often will say you are doing exactly what you're told to do, and somebody will say, don't take it so seriously, you know. Take the middle path, just, you know, take it easy. Take the balance. What's the balance? How do you decide what the balance? Is your balance more balanced than what God is saying balance is? We call ourselves partners with God all the time and not realize that it's the largest crime God has ever described. Shirk. Those of you who understand Arabic will know that. Those who understand Arabic, you have your hair stand up on your back to hear the word. It's that ingrained into you not to do it. Right? It's one crime God says he would not forgive. And we do this all the time. All the time. It's not just making an idol and worshiping them. Running after my own ideas more than I run after God's ideas is the same issue. So that's first quality. Then right after that, it says, وَيُقِيمُ الصَّلَاةَ, and they offer prayer. I believe in the metaphysical. I believe in life after. I believe in things I cannot see, cannot touch, cannot feel, because I know they're here. I'm taught they're here. I know they're here by their signs. And because of that, or I am that, the one who prays. Remember in the first surah, we had learned that I had made a covenant with God willfully, unforced. I willfully made a covenant with God, and I told him I was his slave, right? إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. I am your slave, and to you I worship, and to you I ask for help, and to you alone, right? So I had already made that pact. What is my then thing? I ask him. I ask from him. That's what prayer is, by the way. Prayer is not about asking for things. I mean, people do that, but it's kind of a waste of time, I believe. So I don't ask God to give me a new color of nail polish tomorrow. Right? I ask him to make me into that muttaqi, to give me taqwa. Right? To give me taqwa. So they establish prayer. It says establish prayer. And then وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ, and spend out of that what we provided, God provided them. And they spend out of that what God had provided, and it does not mean food. Food is a part of it too, but it does not mean food, physical food. Right? This risk that God gives us is a combination of anything he gives us. Any of the quality, any of the benefit he had given you would come under that umbrella. So that's why last time, maybe it was the other class, we were talking about the Baha'u'llah in one place says that when we say the rich and the poor, like the rich cannot attain God, but very few, he's talking about, he says, intellectual riches. Intellectual riches, right? And because that verse too has always baffled me, because I've seen, maybe I'm blessed, I've seen most rich people that I've met are really spending in the way of God, really helping, really doing a lot more than I've ever done, or any others who are at my level or below my level have done. And yet there is this verse all the way since Christ, we talk about this. And when Baha'u'llah said that, it just kind of, I don't know, it opened up a different door for me. And it's so true. Because when we feel so rich in our worldly knowledge, that's when we question God the most. We can see that in our own communities, in our own sites. And so that's why in the first paragraph, Effendi was to put everything aside. Put everything aside, right? Come to him with as if you have nothing, and then see what God is trying to teach you. Yes, Deba.
I don't quite understand what it means. Is it like material spending? It says spend out what we have given them.
Well, that's what we're talking about. So let's say if you're given intellectual qualities, you're given you're a scholar, then your job is to share knowledge. If you are the kind of
so
person,
it's both. It's not just material. It's both.
Everything what God has given you, and everything I have is given by God. There's nothing I have is cultivation of myself. First of all, we need to understand that, because He can choke my breath in next second and I have nothing. So by just granting me this life itself, everything else is built on that foundation. Everything is His, everything here, including my life. And that's why our laws are explained that even yourself, because in the modern law, we said, as long as you don't hurt others, you can do whatever you want to do with yourself. And God says, no, yourself is not yours either. Yourself belongs to me. You are a trust of me here on this earth, you yourself as well. So you cannot do things to yourself that God has forbidden you. By hurting yourself, you actually are hurting society. And if you look at deeply into that, you will understand that in a minute. We cannot hide behind that thing that, oh, well, I was just doing it by myself and that was not hurting anybody. So everything you have been given. If you're a kind of person who has nothing else at all, but you're really loving, spread it. Right? If you have nothing else at all, but you're really somebody who can, who really manages very well, does the household work very well, you're really organized that way, help somebody else too. Give some of it. And He's not asking how much. He's not asking for all. Give some of it. One of the scholars was speaking about this at point, and he says, if you have one apple, give me a slice. Give somebody else a slice. You only have one apple. So this is enjoined on everyone. It's not talking about rich people. It's not talking about those who have more. So saying if I had more, I would give does not work. Because I have something. It might not be food, it might not be money, it might not be, but I have something. I've been put here. I have something. Whatever that is, spread it. Give it out. Give it to others. Right? So when people say that, it irks me the hell out of me when people say, well, that's such and such billionaire or millionaire. If they have this much money, the world will be. And I immediately ask them, I was like, do you have $100? Do you have $100 in your saving? Would you give 10 of it tomorrow to somebody else? If you're not doing it, you have no right to talk about somebody. You have no right to talk about anybody else anyway. And by the way, those who actually do, they don't talk about others. It's always the one who wants somebody else to take care of other things. But I don't have anything. Well, you have something. You're not dead, right? If you had nothing, you would have died yesterday, because that would mean that you haven't eaten for God knows how many weeks. But you have something. Everybody has something. So this does not qualify who has more. It is asking to human beings. Human being, the one who says I'm a believer, the one who says I'm muttaqi, the one who says I'm with God, the one who says I am His. Anyone, whatever you have. Prophet Muhammad said even a smile is charity.
Mustaqim means steadfast.
Muttaqi means the one who fears God. And all of those things are connotations of that. Right? So Prophet Muhammad said, if you have nothing else to give them a smile. And if you look down into that, by the way, you can't smile at somebody unless you really care. Because when we don't care and we are too occupied with our own selves, your face goes like, you can't bring that about. So he said, even a smile is charity. If you have nothing else at all, at least smile at them. So in the same thing that if somebody's coming begging and all that, don't be rude to them. Well, we are asked not to actually, we have different laws now, but For him, it was like, if you can't give something, don't be rude to them. Give them a smile and send them their way. Don't hurt people. So then, وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا, and what else? What else is required of them? What else are they? Still qualities. Still, how do we judge? What is a believer? Who is a believer? Who is a muttaqi? These are qualities of that. Those who are getting guidance. Who are getting guidance? These kind of people. The ones who believe in metaphysical, the one who stay and ask God, remember every day. Well, for Muslims 5 times a day, for us 3 times at least a day, at least once a day, twice a day, twice a day at least, to 4 times a day, right? So if you're doing medium obligatory prayer, then you have 3 times of prayer and then one of the rosary, and that's 4 times a day. You are telling God that I worship you and I ask help of you. And the Muslims will do 5 obligatory prayers and whatever else they do. So I renew my contract over and over and over with him. I stand in prayer, and prayer, we are told, is food for that thing that is not seen, right? So try not eating 4 days in a row and see how you feel. The unseen we neglect because we cannot see it, but God has said consistently, right? Morning, noon, night, midnight, pray. That's your food. So you're actually feeding your soul. That's the food for your soul. That's the food for metaphysical. And because we don't do it, we get malnourished and have no strength to do anything. So they pray and they give out of whatever God has given them. They distribute, they give others for whatever God has given them. Then, what else do they do? وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أَنزِلَ عَلَيْكَ وَمَا أَنزِلَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. And that's where, for me, the real juice is. Right? So they are the ones who believe in what we have revealed unto you. Anzala is wahi, that comes down, revelation. Right? They believe in what we have given to you. You, at this point, the audience is Prophet Muhammad, of course. So we are talking about this book, this revelation. Doesn't use the word book. It says they believe in what was revealed to you and revealed before you. They believe in what is revealed to you and what was revealed before you and after. And after. They are the one who have assurance. The word for assurance is used, what is the derivative of iqan. I always fall off my chair whenever I read this verse. That is the book, the very first verse was. Second, that is the book that has real guidance, and there is no doubt in it. And the last word of this verse is, they are the ones who have iqan, they are surety, yokinun. They have this surety in their hearts. Right? So here's my question. Here's where we fell off the ladder a long time ago, and then we continued it. So when I say we are standing, 3 of us are standing in line, or 3 of you are standing in line, and there is Nahid, and then there's Liba, and then there's Rihanna. Right? So I'm talking to Liba in the middle, and I say, I gave Liba $10. I gave Liba $10, and I gave Nahid $10, and I gave her. And I gave her. What would you translate that as? That I gave Rihanna $10 too. Yeah? So there are 3 people standing in a line. I'm speaking the middle one. And I say, I gave this one, I gave Liba $10, I gave Nahid $10, and I gave her. And I gave her. How do you use the language? What do you translate that? They believe in what I gave you. They believe in what I gave before and after. Okay? They believe in the revelation I gave you. They believe in revelation that I gave before and after. How would you translate that? So how all at once this has become, they believe in the revelation I gave you, they believe in the revelation I gave Nahid, and death to Rehana. That's what death to Rehana, right? So over and over and over again, Quran has this verse, by the way. This is the very in the very beginning, it's showing up, and it shows up dozens of times in the Quran. They believe in what we sent you, they believe in what was given before and after. So they translate perfectly fine. They believe what was revealed to you, they believe what was revealed to before, and then they believe in death. Because akhir was translated as death, as world physically finishing. So no revelation after. This is where the whole contention came, that threw 1,500, shot 1,500 bullets at their promised one. That's what caused it. This interpretation and translation for centuries of the ulama, of the leadership, that Baha'u'llah Igan says, the leaders of religions have hindered people from walking the path of God. Always have, always will. Mind you, every community thinks that we are immune from such problems, by the way. This happened to previous people. It doesn't happen to us. We're chosen. And yet that same Lord says, they have always done it and they'll always will. Be warned. It's a little thing. You think it's a little thing, right?
No, it's not a little thing, unfortunately.
That little misunderstanding shot 1,500 bullets at our promised one. All of us are liable for that, by the way, because we do these things.
It's amazing how if you get the words wrong, or if you get a command wrong in a computer, nothing works.
Nothing works. Not only nothing works, it breaks down.
It totally stops working.
It stops working.
And it's you have to have extreme precision on stuff to be able to get stuff to work most of the time. Sometimes you can get away with things, but in critical places, it has to be precise.
So let's talk about this. So let's talk about this. Thank you, David. Akhir does have two meanings, right? There's akhirat that is talked about in two different ways in Quran too. There is so even my individual life will end. There is a death, but we're not talking about individual life here. So why would we translate that there? So for me individually, yes, I am on judgment every day because I consider myself believer, right? I consider myself believer. I chose to be a believer. I chose to sign a contract with God. Doesn't matter what kind of believer you are. You're Hindu, you're Buddhist, you're Zoroastrian, you're Christian, you're Jewish, you're Muslim, you're Baha'i, you're whatever you are, whatever you're calling yourself. You have signed a contract with God that you would follow what book he had sent you. Everybody has a book, right? Everybody has a book. So you sign a contract, and every person who says they're a believer, every community, every single chapter of God, he has enjoined that prayer, right? In one language or the other, in one sense or the other. Every human being who considers themselves a believer renews their contract with God every day. I am your servant. I am your slave. I'll follow what you've given me. That's the contract. Baha'u'llah clarifies that in so much more in the first paragraph of the Aqdas. You believe in God, you believe in his manifestation, and you believe every word he has given you. Paraphrase. Everything he has given you. One without the other is not acceptable. You're not a believer without following what is given to you. Look around ourselves, including ourselves. Are we doing that? Right? So there is a judgment. And because I neglect that, someday all of us would be dead. We are going to die. And there's that individual judgment as well at the end of the life, because every day I'm given a chance. Here it's a classroom. The final exam is at the end of that year, the final exam, when I'm done. The time is done. My time is done for that year, and then there is a final exam. If I fail that, there is nothing more left for me, right? the in-between tests. I can fail some, I can pass some, I can make up more grades, I can continue to be better or worse. But once the year is ended, it's done. So when my life is quenched next minute, that's why we are asked the urgency of it. The Quran says we should think of death every day. And our modern society says, oh, don't talk about death, don't talk about death.
So what does this, okay, akhirat, I got that. What is hope, the last two words?
So we are coming to that, we're talking about that, right? So there is that sense of death, akhirat, of me, individually. I should be cognizant of it every day. And then there is an akhirat, that is the akhirat of the alameen, the alim, the nations. Every nation has been given a time, the Quran says. When its time is up, it cannot move it forward or backward a second. I'm paraphrasing again, right? Every nation, God says in the Quran, has a set time. That too is asked to end. That end previously was in every scripture. That end is as soon as the next one says, I am, I am, I am. The next revelation stands up. Qayyim, stands up and says, I am the one. The next revelation descends. Your time is ended. The previous alim, the previous nation, the previous stuff ended. The new one started. The beginning that hath no beginning and the end that hath no end. Make sense? Each revelation ends the world and starts the next one. Ends the world, starts the next one. Ends the world, starts the next one. And as soon as descends, it gives its judgment. It's very clear from all the scriptures. The judgment day was now, Moses said, more than 3,000 years ago. And then that scripture too said the judgment is nigh, the judgment is now, the judgment is near. It was 3,000 years away. So we mistranslated that as to what? That means the end of physical world, right? Why? Why did we do that? For me personally, from that desire wanting to live forever. Remember the story of Adam and Eve? The story of Adam and Eve was what? If you read that symbolically, allegorically, what was it? Satan said to them, if you eat of this tree that God has forbidden you, you will live forever. Lord God doesn't want you to live forever. He's hiding this benefit from you. If you eat from this tree, you will live forever. So they go and eat it and break the law of God and get punished for it, right? Well, in the Quran, they actually got forgiven. So the Old Testament story is a little bit different than the Quran. Right? I want to live forever. God has given me a limited life. Everything has its time appointed. Every nation has its time appointed. Every living thing has its time appointed. When that nation's time comes, you cannot move it forward or backward. An iota. Nothing. It's done. But I want to live forever. It's that desire that I believe caused us these things. Everybody believes they're the last one and nothing's coming and nobody's allowed to give them anything else. Everyone. Travel around the world, you'll see that. I was baffled. You can't be all the last ones. But yet, everyone is the last one. And the new one will start, right? So you see where we got lost? If we didn't have the desire to live forever, we wouldn't have made such mistakes. And this too was very baffling to me, that people were very afraid of the last days. People are very afraid of what they call Qiyamah, right? The last days, Qiyamah, the world will end. The Qiyamah actually means Qayyam, when the new revelation will rise, the new manifestation will rise. But we have translated that as the end of the physical world and I'm dying. And even then, I did not understand why people are afraid of it. If you're physically dying, aren't you told that you're going to go meet your Lord? Wouldn't I be like absolutely looking forward to that? I want that happen yesterday, man. Remoteness from him here. I mean, who wants that? Why are we so afraid of it? And the nations are afraid of it. They don't want that. And yet they teach this belief every day. Isn't that hypocrisy? So we desire what he desires not for us. We've been warned about this in every scripture. In every scripture. My downfall is because I want something for myself he doesn't want. Thou art more friend to me than I am to myself. Because he knows what I am. He knows what I need. He knows what is my progress and what is my downfall. So he lays it down in every revelation, raises me up with every revelation, gives me as best guidance as soon as I need it. And yet I'm screaming, literally, I'm screaming sitting here saying, I do not want to start the third grade. I hate third grade. I will kill the teacher of third grade. I love my second grade. I love my second grade teacher. I don't want to study anymore. That's what we are doing, literally. See how strange that is? I mean, if you really look into this behavior, it's so strange. And yet every day we teach ourselves and our generations that he's coming, he's coming, he's coming. We're waiting for him too. And every time he comes, we kill him. Why? So these things got so mingled up out of wrong desires, and we created something that is untenable. And we're suffering. The suffering didn't end just because we didn't believe in him. The suffering continues because we didn't believe in him. So they believe in what I gave to Laiba. They believe what I gave to Nahid and to her. The one is standing in the end, on the other side. Now, before and after. Why did I translate that as, where does it say that that actually means death? Why this akhir means death? Anybody can tell me? But that's how we translated that. Hereafter was translated as death. Now we are asked to believe in death and the life of spirit continually forever. Allah says, and when you reflect on that philosophically, you'll see that how true that is, that if you don't believe in that, nothing matters anymore.
It was translated that way because it gave the preachers power.
And maybe, I mean, Baha'u'llah says there are two reasons, right? So be careful about that too, about that suspicious problem. Baha'u'llah says there are two reasons that he did these things in Iran, right? There are two reasons. What are those two reasons? Some of them did it for power. Others didn't get it. Didn't do any better.
For power, and
didn't know.
They just don't know how to translate properly.
My personal experience of life of faith shows me a side to it. I'm not sure. I'm sure everybody sees that when a new revelation comes, people are coming in from many various different backgrounds, different faiths, and different ways of life. They too bring a lot of their packages in, actually. There are very few of them, and that's why there is such a hierarchy among the early believers, right? Not all Sahabas were the same. Not all ladders of the livings were the same. Not all early believers are the same. There are those who say, Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, I am here, oh God, I am here, and they let go of everything that was. My life starts here. I can keep what he allows me, but he allows me. And I let go of everything that was not allowed to me. I start a new life with him. New life. It's called new life in every scripture, but we don't. We actually bring all of our dirty laundry with us because we're very attached to those clothes. Don't want to let go. That too creates a lot of problems. That's how we teach ourselves. That's how we start teaching our children. We mix and match and mingle. You see that in every community. Every community. And that takes a life of whole revelation to get some progress and some backward. One step forward, two steps backward sometimes. And so there's this injunction to let go of everything. Just follow what God has given you. It's not good for myself, but it's good for my future generations, generation after generation. But we don't let go. Desire not what I do not desire for you. Cleanse your heart so I can reside in it. Die in me so I can live in you. These are all hidden words, right? What is die in him? He's not asking me to just kill myself or commit suicide. He's asking to not follow my own self. Kill my own desire so I can have the true desire inside me. Two opposite things cannot live in the same person. He says that. Have you ever seen water and fire residing in the same place? How can my love and somebody else's be in your heart at the same time? You want my love, you have to let go of everything else. Everything else. And it's the easiest, best thing, by the way, to let go of everything else. The more we mingle, the more hardship we have for ourselves. We don't understand that. The more we mingle of two different waters, the more hardships we create for ourselves. So, got that? All right. Any questions, concerns?
Can you please give the definition of the last two words?
They are the ones who are assured. The word for assurance is used. The one is derivative of ikan. The reason I said that was that's your next book, Kitab Ikan. That's your next revelation. So it's just amazing. They believe in what I revealed onto you. They believe in what I revealed before and after, which is Igan. They will have Igan. They will have assurance. They will
those who are assured.
They will be. That's the meaning, but it comes from Yaqeen, which is the Ikan. Ikan means assurance, certitude. That's why we call it the book of certitude. Read that, you are assuring in yourself that this is the guidance from God because it speaks to your soul. I mean, your soul dances on that. It's so beautiful. All the dilemmas, all the questions of time immemorial have been answered in there. All the things we're fighting with each other have been done, been resolved, answered. That is the book. There is no doubt in it. You have no doubt in it. It will bring you surety and certitude. But that revelation is after you. What was Prophet Muhammad's post? His post was to prepare us for the last day. The problem is we translated that last day into something else. He is the last messenger. He is the last Rasul of the Adamic cycle. He closed it. He closed that whole cycle. A new cycle was coming, and it was right next to him. And it says that in the Quran, it's right next to you. Because Moses was still 3,000 years ago, even though it says that it's here. And that is in that sense that every revelation itself is judgment. And then there was this big judgment. The big changing of cycles was coming. Look around yourself, man. Look around yourself. Are we living in the horse and the donkey time? Well, the whole physical universe is something else. Things within 170 years of this revelation, there are things here that people before this could not have fathomed having in their grasp and hands. What was the Adamic cycle? The top thing of that started with what? I taught you with a pen. We were given writing skills and utensils. That's the whole, we finally started learning. Reading and writing is the core element of Adamic cycle. We started there. We don't even use the pen anymore, not the physical pen. There are prophecies about these days in the Old Testament when they'll buy and sell and they won't use money. They won't exchange money. Anything, look around, anything. It's a new world. It's a new beginning. It's different. Not just different that, oh, it's a little bit different. You and I are wearing different colored shirts. No. It's something that was unfathomable to the man of old, even just 300 years ago. Right? The first day, the first thing on the, what do you call it? Before we have email, before we had computer, we did what? How did we send communications across the continents? Cable? Huh?
Pigeons.
Pigeons. After pigeons. We used pigeons before. What did we do after pigeons?
Telegraph.
Code,
Sorry?
Morse code, telegraph.
Yes, telegraph, right? Telegraph that did not use a pen. Revelation changed. What was the day that went out?
1844,
May 23rd, 1844.
44.
To the dot on the day the Bab declared himself. Qayyam, Mustaqim, Ehdina Siratul Mustaqim, guide me all the way to the Qayyam. The Qayyam stood and said what? I am, I am, I am. The world is something else from that day onwards. We are in a new cycle. All right, I actually want to stop here even though we have time, but it's something that for you to chew on a few days and reflect on. But actually, let's stop on the next one because it's really, for what we're talking about right now, it's so potent. Ulaika ila hudan min rabbihim wa ulaika humul muflihun. Number 5. Anybody wants to read the translation?
They are on true guidance from their Lord, and it is these who will prosper.
They are on true guidance from their Lord, and it is these who will prosper. The world has never seen prosperity as we have in this century, by the way. If you read the real data of things, even though we bicker a lot about every problem, the poorest people are richer than kings of the old today. So even physically, these things have come true, and yet we pay no heed. All right. So in this sense, I'd send you that that was another translation from another Quran, another translator. I mean, it's the same Quran, another translator, and I send you his commentary notes. You read them all? It's amazing. He's really pinpointing all the things that believers should or shouldn't do, and yet exactly that's what we are doing as believers. And God has put seals on our hearts, he says, because we have wronged ourselves. There is a verse in the Quran where it says, and I'm paraphrasing that, I guide you from these same verses and I misguide you from these same verses. The one who take heed are guided by the verses, and the others are misguided by the same verses. And that too was something that baffled me for a very long time. But when you see the whole thing in a context, say we wronged them not, but they wronged themselves. And you see that the both ends, the good and the bads, will take this book and proof themselves from the same stuff. You know. All right. Any comments, questions? So in the first one, you were asking for guidance, and the next one immediately starts on that guidance to what you need to believe. All right, if you guys have nothing, I'll see you next week. By the way, the week of the holy day, only 2 people answered actually, but I was going to say, is it possible to do it on Thursday that week? Because I just realized that the holy days are starting on Tuesday night, because the day starts at evening, but they end before sunset. Our class almost starts after sunset. They end on Thursday before sunset. So whoever is, because we have people from different time zones and countries. So no matter what you are celebrating, you're starting earlier, but everybody will be done before sunset on Thursday. Should be done.
I have a class, and I know Nohid's in the same class on Thursday.
Oh. Okay.
That starts at 7.
Okay. Because then most probably maybe we'll just take the week off. It's getting difficult. Or if you can do it on Monday, if everybody agrees to Monday, I'm still willing to do Monday, but Monday night. But with having people from different time zones and stuff, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday is taken.
How about Friday?
Friday, Nahid has 2 children's classes.
Okay.
Monday, I have a LSA meeting.
Oh.
Yeah, the same thing. We have a lesson.
Then let's take that week off then. I cannot coordinate it. It's just gotten impossible. Yeah. So that is the week after next.
We have, okay.
All right.
Yeah, this is all very interesting. It all, I find it fascinating that there's seems to be in computer code, there's ways you can syntax check, or you can, when you run the code, you can see if it's going to work properly. But there seems to be no syntax checker, or very little bit of.
Well, there was. That's another side problem.
Properly.
There was syntax checker, which we discarded. And those were your authoritative interpreters, starting with Imam Ali.
Ah.
Right? You had 11 authoritative interpreters for Islam, not just 2. We only got 2. Even though we take pride in it, we got 2. They have 11, but we didn't listen to them.
Oh.
Are the 11 the imams?
Yeah. Those for us, for our understanding, they are the authoritative interpreters of the Quran. Right? So then that's why you will see that when the very first surah, when we're reading to the sequence of the Quran was put in place by Prophet Muhammad himself, right? That in itself is a miracle, because it came verse to verse, not surah to surah. There are few surahs that came as like some of the small ones at 3 verses only, so to speak. And the first one is the first one that came as a whole surah. But the rest of them they came few verses here, few verses there, and he'll say, put them here, put them here, put them here. And then he'll recite them in a sequence, once at least every Ramadan, and then that's what the sequence was published. But when they were debating all of this, what sequence should be published, Imam Ali said the first revelation was the first surah. And here you are, in the Quran, you have the first surah as first revelation. Some of their scholars to this day are bickering over this issue. What was the first surah? If we had believed in what he says is true, that God has given him that authority, we would not have been bickering for 1400 years. And this is a smaller matter. We have been killing each other for a very long time over not understanding things. So for me, things were a bit easier, because you had that respect for them. Because he said, I will leave you my book and my Ahl Bayt, which is Ahl Bayt is not everybody extended in his family. That if Imam Ali or Hassan or Hussein or Imam Jafar Imam Jafar wrote the most extensively, if he said it means this, then, then it's settled. It means this.
Wow.
But we discarded that guidance. So then everybody understood whichever way they wanted. And on top of that, then because the Quran itself says that in the Prophet of God, in the Rasul, in the Messenger of God, you have the greatest example. He's an exemplar. So learning from how he interpreted and how he lived the Quran is absolutely binding and necessary. That knowledge is given to you by the early believers. For certain things, when it's not clear here, for what did you do? How did he do? What did you do? What did he say? Right? That came to us what we call hadith. For Umayyads to justify their rules, they started creating a lot of false hadiths. That's where the problem started. And that's why by the 2nd century, people were so lost about these issues that they actually started gathering all of it, judging. They created the science of how to judge what is being said in the old and how to justify that and how to authenticate it. So you do have books upon books, but there's still problems. And the major problem is that people don't even go to those books. They'll listen to whoever's saying whatever and run with that. There's so much that is, then of course, because of the Shia-Sunni divide, the Shias didn't want the Sunni books. The Sunni books came in first. I mean, they were compiled first. They were done first. And then they did their own. And within their own and that, they came to certain conclusions that are exactly the same in both ends. But we hated each other so much that you don't want to take from each other. You don't want to follow that. So it's hundreds of years of problems. I mean, and don't just look at them. That's why I keep on saying this, that we should learn from this and straighten our own lives. How often I see my own people saying things that I'm like, where did you get that? Why are you saying something opposite the writings are saying, or Abu Baha said, or the Guardian said? I mean, we still run after whatever. Thankfully not at large, but there it is. It still exists. The problem still exists. So you can have, we have 100 volumes from Baha'u'llah, about 100 volumes, close to, give or take, from the Bab. Double the writings in explanations of those things by Abdul Baha, and tripled of that from the Guardian. How many do you know who actually read all of that? Or even try. It's not magic. He's not going to put a bullet in my head and then I know everything. He's given everything. I have to come to it. I have to come to it. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. We only worship you and your help only we ask. He has given help in writing. But that nasta'in means I do my work and then you give me strength to finish it up. He doesn't give you a magic bullet, magic tablet to just eat it and you'll have everything. And if you're not going to them, how are we any straighter than anyone else?
Why do you think that some of the writings of the Bab and Baha'u'llah aren't translated into English yet? Because there seems to be a very small number of that are.
I would say, if you can show me tomorrow that the 14 volumes from Baha'u'llah we have mastered them as the Guardian asked for it, I'll sit outside of the seat of the House of Justice and beg them every day to give us a 15th one.
What was that again?
We are often worried about what's not in your hand than what is in your hand.
Oh, gotcha.
Can we say that we have mastered the 14 volumes that are in hand?
No.
And why is it somebody else's job to translate the revelation for me? First of all, I mean, the Guardian has done that favor and blessing and amazing gift to us, but was that his work? Was he obliged to do that work? Is anybody else obliged to do that work? God has said, this is my revelation. I sent it to you, every one of you. The original revelation is available to all of you, all of us. Study the languages, go read them. It's not somebody else's job to translate it for me.
In other words, you should go learn Persian and Arabic.
If we don't do that, we have no right to ask somebody else to provide it for me. God has provided it for me. 2 of his manifestations suffered here for 50 years. 50 years long revelation.
Wow.
Between the Bab and the Guardian, you had 113 years of straight guidance. And we can't be bothered even to read it. And by the way, in essence, the whole picture already is in your hand. A lot of it is further details, of course. If you look at gleanings, the Guardian had picked up that from the whole of Revelation and gave you an actual photograph of what the whole Revelation looks like, what kind of subject it talks about, what kind of things it talks about, what is it that is in there. That's your sampling. The rest of it. I mean, he has given us a tremendous gift in him.
Wow. I guess I'll go read the gleanings again.
Yes. Read, reread, study, master, memorize. Right? Don't ever say you have read one of the book of Revelation like years ago and that means you have done it. It's binding on us to understand them every day of our lives. Read them morning and evening. All of it. It's like, as somebody was saying, and I'm going to steal this analogy from them, I loved it. And they say, when you drink water today, do you say, I've drank it yesterday? I'm done?
No.
I mean, this is food to your soul. This is food to my whole life. Then why do I not come to that? So when I don't come to that, what was the first quality of a believer? The one who believes in?
Follows the rules.
The life of non-material life. Life of the soul. The one who believes, the very first quality of a believer is the one who believes in the soul, the one who believes in things unseen, the one who believes in metaphysical. That metaphysical, where God belongs, tells me that this is my food and I must replenish myself at least 2-3 times a day, daily. Right? Do I do it? I don't. And then when I'm malnourished and I'm dying, ethically, morally, spiritually, then I blame, I don't know, who?
Wow.
Spend the times with word, spend time with word, reflect on it. It will change your life. Nothing else will actually. All the Guardian's writings are available in English. Get to them.
I have to go. Sorry. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Ghazala.
you.
Thank you.
It was
Bye.
wonderful.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.